Hello and welcome to Kingston Now. I'm Jimmy Buff. This week we're on the Kingston Waterfront, which was recently named the home port for the Sloop Clearwater. Joining us today on the show is the Executive Director of Clearwater, Jeff Rumpf, and the Executive Director of the Hudson River Maritime Museum, Kate Mitchell. Welcome.
Well, welcome to Kingston. It's great to have you here.
Actually, yeah, I welcomed you, but you should be welcoming me because this is your turf, Kate. This is where the Maritime Museum is located and where the Sloop Clearwater is going to call home soon. And how did that come about? It's a joint venture between the two of you, the two organizations.
And welcome to you also, Jeff, to Kingston.
Yeah, well, the Sloop right here, what a place for the Sloop. Can't be a better place.
Can you tell me how your two organizations got together, Kate?
Well, five or so years ago, board members here had a vision for the future of the Rondout because maritime industry has really not been very big, especially in the 21st century, and it's died over the past 50 years. So they wanted to have this historic revival here and to have tall ships, and Clearwater is an excellent tall ship. We have great dockage, 400 feet. We have a museum with over 20,000 artifacts representing the history of the Hudson River.
Jeff, I was surprised to find out that the Clearwater has never had a home port. It's been, I think it was launched in 1969, so it's been on the river for 42 years. Why has it never had a home port before?
We like to say our crew in the last 42 years have never had a place where they could take a shower, where they could call their own, where they could really be a base to repair the sloop and spend the winters. So we've had some good people that have taken us in. Up in Saugerties, we've had some very supportive groups that have helped us. But for Clearwater to really take it to the level that would secure her forever, we need a home port. We need a real home. And we not only want to have a home for the Sloop Clearwater, we want to use what the Clearwater has been great about, spurring economic development, spurring excitement about the river, bringing to our partners and our friends here the excitement of a tall ship that spends every day inspiring people to create a new generation of environmental leaders. And we're excited because they share that vision with us. As we like to say, we have a world-class museum here on the Hudson River, and we have a world-class ship. And you put the two together, you have a port and you have a ship, a dock, and you have a vessel that's ready to really make a big difference in people's lives.
That's the big thing, that it's not a temporary situation where you're just stopping by. There's a real commitment, and we have to build a real relationship and really build trust between the organizations to make the kind of difference to the community that we need to make.
And you also have to build a building.
We do.
Tell us about that building.
There's a building that has morphed a little bit over time, but at the west end of the property, right by where the Clearwater will be docked in the winter, through the winter, we are going to put up a timber frame structure, 35 by 67 feet, with a clerestory. It'll be a beautiful wooden building.
2 stories.
2 stories, storage upstairs. So we have, we're continue to collect because there continues to be maritime history. So we have growing storage needs for the museum. The boat needs a place to keep their stuff all the time because she's always bumping around the valley.
There's a history here in Kingston and on the Hudson River, maritime shipwrighting, that is really a great potential to bring back. The river was the centerpiece of the world, this river. This is the best port on this river. And this is a place where we want to rebuild this ship, bring in lots of other vessels that want to really ply these waters up and down, all the way from New York City to Albany, and want to create a maritime resurgence. We think, some of the best days, we know some of the best days on this river and in these post-industrial river cities occurred when the ships came.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the best days are to come.
And they sure are to come. The more ships, the more support, the more people we have to this river. This is what this building is going to spur. And, Clearwater is a symbol, but it's also active. This building will be symbolic, will be raised by the hands of hundreds of people together on a early morning, hopefully
barn raising.
And this is the kind of stuff that makes it happen. Spurs other people to get involved, all kinds of different industry. The river's the center.
And that is the launch, that's the groundbreaking is next spring?
Should be next spring.
And how long do you think it'll take to get the building up and running?
We hopefully will be doing programs in the building next summer, and Clearwater will be here next winter.
And it's a shared use building as well, right? You're going to get some use out of it as well?
Oh, absolutely.
This building will be a hotbed on the river.
We're going to build boats, we're going to get kids out there.
We're going to build lots of kids, and we're going to build a lot of community here.
This is Kingston Now. Next, we'll be joined by Dave Conover, the Education Director of the Clearwater organization. He'll talk a little bit about the Sloop Clearwater and about some of the onboard activities. Welcome back to Kingston Now. We're on the Kingston waterfront, and joining us now is Clearwater Education Director Dave Conover to talk a little bit about the Sloop Clearwater. Hi, Dave.
Hey, how are you?
Now, the Clearwater was built in 1969?
That's correct, yep. It was built up in Maine and sailed down the ocean it was launched in May 17th, 1969, and they did a bunch of fundraisers on their inaugural voyage and came right up the Hudson and had a big party in New York City waiting for them. So.
Can you tell me about the design of the boat? I believe that
Sure.
it was Pete Seeger who said, this is how I want it to look.
Well, the original idea was to find an old Hudson River sloop. These boats were unique boats. They were the workhorses of the river back in the 1800s. So they wanted to find an old Hudson River sloop and restore it, but they really couldn't find one in good condition. So they decided to build one from scratch. And that's what they did. And it was a challenge to actually find the right design, but they managed to do it. And the boat that you see today was the same boat that was launched in '69. So
She's kind of wide and kind of shallow. Is that for river sailing designed? Is that the design?
Yeah,
purpose?
it's a cargo vessel. It's designed after the old Dutch sloops, canal sloops, and then the Dutch kind of modified that design for the Hudson River. So it's made to carry heavy loads. And right here in the Rondout Creek, it would carry things like brick or bluestone down to New York City. That was a regular run that they used to make.
How tall is that mast?
Mast is 108 feet tall from the waterline, so we always have to be careful about our bridges, but we manage pretty well between Albany and the city.
And how long is the boat?
The boat's overall length is 106 feet.
You have tours, people can sail on the Clearwater, but you also have educational aspects to it as well, and that's your title, Education Coordinator. Can you talk about some of what happens in that regard on the boat?
Sure. That's the bread and butter of what we do is provide education programs for schools and groups. So we use the sloop as a platform for Hudson River education. And that's very close to my heart because I'm a big believer in getting kids involved, hands-on, experiential learning. So the boat really connects kids, especially kids of different learning styles. It opens them up to learning. So we can talk about a broad range of subjects: ecology, the physics of sailing, the history of the Hudson Valley, and the boat is the perfect platform to provide that kind of education for kids.
Give me some specifics about what happens with that on the boat. I
Sure.
mean, I know that, for instance, kids are shown eels.
Sure. Well, one of the things the kids do when we take them out is we have a small net on board the boat. So we throw that net overboard. The kids help catch the fish, and then we set up an aquarium on board the boat. We have a guide, fish key, so the kids actually learn how to identify things using the scientific method of dichotomous identification. And so the kids identify, there's over 200 kinds of fish that live in the Hudson River and the watershed. So it's a great thing for them to see life coming out of the river. A lot of there's a myth that the river is so polluted nothing could possibly live in it, but of course that's ridiculous. The river is full of life, and there's an amazing variety of things that live here. So the kids get to see that and experience that firsthand.
What about sea shanties? Do you teach them songs?
Oh yeah, we do sea shanties. That's part of our legacy from Pete Seeger. Of course, we do river songs and sea shanties with the kids, and we teach them how to do that. They have to raise the sail. The sail on the Clearwater is over 3,000 pounds. So one of our secrets really is that one of the reasons we take kids out on board is not just to teach them about the river, but so we can actually use their power to raise the sail. So it's a lot of fun for them.
And is there a song that goes along with that?
Oh sure, yeah, we do sea shanties to help them raise the sails.
Come on, give us a few bars.
Oh, we can do one. We do one called Haul Away Joe. So it starts out, way haul away, we'll haul away together. Way haul away, we'll haul away Joe. And way haul away, we'll haul for better weather. way, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Louis was the king of France before the revolution. Way, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Then he got his head cut off, it spoiled his constitution. Way, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe.
That's outstanding.
So there's a whole host of them that we do, but the kids get into it, and it builds teamwork too, which is great.
Terrific. Dave Conover, the education coordinator for the Sloop Clearwater. Coming up in just a moment on Kingston Now, we'll be joined again by Kate Mitchell, the executive director of the Hudson River Maritime Museum. Stay with us. Welcome back to Kingston Now, and joining us again is the Executive Director of the Hudson River Maritime Museum, Kate Mitchell. Kate, we're in the East Gallery. What a wonderful room this is. Look at all these incredible boats.
This is amazing. We've spent a lot of years making this better and better every year, and it keeps getting better.
Tell me about the origins of the museum.
The museum was founded in 1980. And we were first up the street with a collection of some people locally who just wanted to preserve the maritime history of the Hudson River Valley, and especially the Rondout Creek area. And then they moved into this building in 1982. This had been a wood building workshop. It's a lot of interesting connections because Andy Malay had been building boats in here, and he ended up at one point as the executive director of Clearwater. So there's a whole bunch of activity within all the boat community here. And it is now our East Gallery.
There are exhibits here that represent a couple of the big uses of the river, two of the biggest, of course, which is recreation and industry. And a lot of people don't realize the extraordinary industry that happened on the river back 100 years ago. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, the Rondout Creek right here at the confluence with the Hudson was the end point of the D&H Canal. And it was a 103 or 108 mile long canal that brought coal from Pennsylvania to New York City. And they had to get the coal over the Shawangunk Mountains, and what they did is they used the canal to do that. There were a series of locks. It would all be dumped, the coal, on an island slightly up the river from here, and then barges would haul it down to New York. As New York was growing, they also needed cement. We were a great place for cement. If you drive around, you'll see cement kilns everywhere in this area. We were a great place for bluestone as well, and bluestone was hauled down by horses to the river and then loaded on barges and brought down to New York City to make sidewalks.
And the recreation aspect, of course, sailing, power boating in the summertime months, but also in the winter, that you have an extraordinary collection of ice boats.
We do have a great collection of ice boats.
And you've been on one. What's that like?
I have been on one. I was on a small antique ice boat, and you fly. You go so incredibly fast. The different areas freeze up, and because there's still commerce on the river, the Coast Guard cutters come through and they break up the ice. So for the ice boaters to find a spot of ice, it's like, it's viral. Everyone within an hour knows there's a great piece of ice for ice boating. So it's sometimes in Tivoli Bays. It was at that time down at Esopus Meadows by the lighthouse there, and it's closed off from the main traffic, and it froze up solid. So you had plenty of space with which to go flying, and it's fast and beautiful, and one of the best things you can do on the river. There's tons of great things to do on the river, you know, sail kiting and everything.
Some of the other exhibits here represent some of the wildlife in the river. Tell me about that.
Well, we put in an exhibit on the estuary of the Hudson River. We have an exhibit on ferries, we have an exhibit on steamboats, and we also are concerned about the wildlife in the river and wildlife conservation. I've seen a lot of beavers recently as I've been kayaking around, which is really, really nice to see. 2 or 3 at a time when I'll go out on my kayak, and we have great blue heron in the area and cranes. So it's an important sign of the health of the river. Because we want the river to be swimmable, and we want it to be fishable. We want to be able to eat the fish from the river. It's the way the world's supposed to work.
Talk about some of the events you guys put on here.
We do an event about once a month through the active season, which is the warmer months right now, but we're looking forward to doing more in the winter, like the ice boating and ice stuff that we were talking about earlier. We have the River Day in June. And that's where we celebrate with Clearwater and the other tall ships coming in here. Half Moon was here this year. We celebrate the history of the river through that. We have the Bluestone Festival coming up in October, and we'll work with a bunch of people to talk about the history of bluestone, roads and paving, and how bluestone has been used to make our lives easier and also to give us jobs.
What are the hours? When can people come to the museum?
We are open 7 days a week, 11 to 5, and on Wednesdays we're open late. And also on Wednesdays we often have a lecture series, film series, so you could see The African Queen or Mutiny on the Bounty. We also have scholars coming in and talking about the architecture of industry in the Hudson Valley.
The website for people to check out information about events and admission is?
HRMM, which stands for Hudson River Maritime Museum, .org.
Terrific.
O-R-G.
Great. Thanks for joining us again, Kate.
Thank you.
This is Kingston Now. In just a moment, we'll be joined again by Executive Director of Clearwater, Jeff Rumpf, for a final word. Welcome back to Kingston Now. The Clearwater organization is dedicated to preserving and protecting the mighty Hudson River, and joining us once again is Clearwater Executive Director Jeff Rumpf. Hi, Jeff.
How you doing?
So tell me, what is the state of the river these days?
Well, I have to tell you, the river has gotten better and better, and it's why we have more and more opportunity on the river. There are some real challenges, and we feel that we have, actually with this project as a model project for a river city, ways of solving the last real big issues on the river. Swimmable and fishable is a goal that we're keeping focused on. The Clean Water Act got it started, but now we got to finish the job. The biggest issue that we found with our friends at Riverkeeper who've been doing analyzing of the water is that you have sewage after a rainy day, like last night, very often at a sewer treatment plant right down the street here, will overflow. All these roofs and all this pavement flows too much water, into the sewer system, and it overflows the sewage treatment plants. And it creates the biggest problem left that we feel for swimmability on the river. We could solve that. Not only could we solve that, we could spur economic development and improve those river cities where these problems occur. By putting green roofs on, and urban parks, and swale gardens, and rain barrels, you make the city a vibrant, beautiful place where people are going to want to visit, create tourism, but at the same time, for less money, 40% less money than big infrastructure projects to solve this problem, you revitalize the city and you cut down the water flow. It's very simple, natural processes, and you have a river that instead of 21% of the time you can't swim in it, right here, over 50% of the time you can't swim in it because of high levels of yucky stuff, you will have water that we will be swimming off these docks again.
Speaking of support and money, how does Clearwater operate and how can people help it operate?
Well, it's founded by Pete Seeger. He had a great model, and we really returned to that model in a real big way. Inspire has to come first. We know the science. The Inspire for Clearwater is festivals and events. Well, festival events at Clearwater are booming. We just did a festival down at Colton Point, and my God, we had probably twice the number of people. And it becomes the nexus of the environmental movement. So many people get excited and inspired. Now we're going to do another big event in New York City. So this is the kind of thing that really helps economically with Clearwater, helps bring more members on board, and really the musicians are stepping up to the plate. People like Arlo Guthrie and Peter Yarrow and Dave Matthews and Bruce Springsteen, and Pete is still going at it. 92.
92 and still going strong.
So
That's
we're
remarkable.
doing well. And what we're doing with that money, almost every dime, one of the highest ranked charities in the nation, thousands upon thousands of young people and adults are being educated right here on this sloop, on this river. Right now I've got Camp Clearwater kids out on giant fur trader canoes. I've got them on kayaks. The way to change this river is to inspire and educate people, then let the communities take action. That's the best part of Clearwater right now. Green cities, cities like Kingston and Poughkeepsie and Newburgh and Beacon and Peekskill, they're being inspired to take the next step and revitalize their cities from the inside out. Grassroots action. There's groups right now that are making the changes that will bring tourists, that will bring new energy efficiency, that will bring green infrastructure with parks and gardens that make the city a better place. And you know what? They need jobs. first time, I think, really in history that it's not environment against jobs, it's environment and jobs, it's eco in the economy. That's why that eco's there.
If people want to find out more about Clearwater, maybe going on a sail on the sloop or to participate individually, what do they do?
Go to clearwater.org or call me up. Clearwater is one of those organizations that is completely and totally about you. It's about the people.
Terrific. Thanks, Jeff.
Right on.
That's it for Kingston Now. Thanks to Jeff Rumpf and Dave Conover of the Clearwater Organization and to Kate Mitchell of the Hudson River Maritime Museum. I'm Jimmy Buff. We'll see you next time.